RTI Arms, made in Slovenia. A look at the Prophet from Windy 33A.
Right, hello folks, you're probably wondering what all these bits are. Well, probably about 3, maybe 4 weeks ago now, I was contacted by a viewer and he's known as Windy 33A. Funny story to the name. He's an ex-veteran like myself. He was in the Dragoons driving tanks and he got the nickname Windy. His name was Peter Miller, Windy Miller. Think back to Watch with Mother and you'll understand what I'm on about. Well, anyway, he said he got a RTI Priest straight Prophet and it was leaking, and if I'd like to try and fix it and do a video on it or a review on it. So I thought, oh, why not? So here we go. So this is what we've got. It is now the RTI Prophet version 1. And it used to be a Priest. Now these RTI rifles, they are very Frankenstein in the way they're done, because they are designed that you can upgrade them. And the upgrade from the Priest to the Prophet is a new block at the front and a new block at the rear. They'd even got an upgrade for the Priest using the existing rear block, but just using the front block. So instead of having a straight pull bolt, you've got a side lever action. But he's gone the old log. He's got a rear block as well. So there are some differences, as you'll see on the sheet I've got. Now, looking down here, you'll see the valve system, basically from there to there. When you look at the Prophet 1, these aren't in it. These are only in Prophet 2. But in Prophet 1, you've got this setup. You've got the O-ring that goes on the end of this rod. It had a little poppet valve that fit on the end of the spring there, which wasn't in this kit. So this could have been part of the why it was leaking. And then you got, I think it's called the steam valve. So that all fit down that end. When I got it, it had got this part here that fit in that end, but it didn't have the poppet valve. So that was how I originally got it. But when I looked through the actual charts, this setup comes with the Prophet 2. Now, I looked at the diagrams and this block is from a Prophet 1. So they aren't in, or weren't on a Prophet 1. So I'm going to leave those out. I made a poppet valve to go on the end of there, because there wasn't one. So that is the valve system it's going to be using. Now, I have put this together. It was leaking. What I actually did, I got the poppet valve, put it under the pillar drill there, got some 400 grit sandpaper, let it spin round and just polished it, and that sorted it out. But preempting that, before I actually got it, I knew it was coming and it was leaking. I actually made a valve, and you'll see that little episode now. And before I polished the steam valve, I actually used some what they call plasti dip. It's like a rubber coating that you can dip screwdrivers into, have rubber handles, and basically that's what I did with this. I just dipped it in, and that seemed to cure it. That solved it. But after so long, it started leaking again. So in the end now, I've polished it, and I've had it in the rifle 3 or 4 times now, filled it up, been testing it through the chronograph and everything, and it's not leaked since I polished it under the mill. So I believe I've fixed the leak. The downside I am getting is came with 2 regulators. It's got a Venturi regulator there. We've got a Huma regulator. Now, no matter what I've done, I can't seem to get above 10 foot-pound. I mean, most of the time it's like 8 or 9 foot-pound, so I'm not sure what's going off. Whether the regulator needs resetting. I've actually put, what you get a Foster filling on the back on these, because they are designed to take the bottle off and use a bottle in a backpack. So you've got an even lighter rifle, and you fill it through the probe that way, so you can shoot it out of a backpack with a bottle on your back, basically. But if you're not going to use that, you can actually put in a manometer. So from that manometer, you can actually read the regulator pressure. It's got on both the regs, they've got the manometer at the front with a Foster fitting, and what you do, that basically reads the bottle pressure, which can be up to 300 bar. What I am finding is I'm filling it up, and the pressure on the manometer at the rear is basically almost the same as the one at the front. So if the regulator's not working at all, or it needs adjusting. Now, I've not got a regulator tester, and I've been that busy with commitments and things. I've not had really a chance to get down to the club, because I know Cliff, one of our members, he has got a tester, but I'm not sure if it'll fit that one or not. But I'll have to ask him so he can see what pressure it's coming out at. But basically, that's where I've got to. I've probably had it apart now 10-15 times, so I know it inside out, putting it together and taking it apart. Tolerances on this are really, really high. So what I have found with the central rod, put the O-ring in. Oh, where's that gone? Yeah, put the O-ring in, get the front block, and screw that all the way in, as far as that'll go. Because that O-ring makes a seal, so that needs to go as far as it'll go, which it's at now. At the rear, basically put your poppet valve in, put the spring in, and put the actual valve stem in, or valve itself. You can line it up. Sometimes it's best just to drop it in and see if it works or not. Lining the hole up, so when it gets it, it'll just drop. That's it, it's dropped in. So what I have found, because that one's got a good seal, this is where it could have been made better. What they should have done is tighten it up so the rod is tight on both ends, then made the plates fit it. But what's actually happened is it won't screw right all the way into the end, so you've got a chance of leaking from this. So what I tend to do is use some PTFE tape on the threads, and that stops any leaks from that. And it's definitely not leaking from the valve now. What I will suggest is when you first do fill it up from empty, is to cock it so that the hammer's not resting on the valve itself, because if it rests on the valve with a spring pressure behind it, it'll open the valve and you won't fill the air. So cock it, put the safety on, fill it with air, and give it a good squirt of air just to get it started, so you've got enough air behind it to push the valve in, so it gives you a good seal. And then you probably a leak can start off with, but after so long, if you get a really good pressure of air in it, it'll hold it, it'll seat itself, and it won't leak. So I've got to that stage now, it's not leaking. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to put it together. I'll show you the process that I go through and what I find it easiest to do it, and then I'll put it through the Chronograph, and you'll see what I mean by the power. Now, it did come with a larger plenum, which you can take that cap off there and screw it on, and there's a plenum about that long. But on a sub 12 foot-pound rifle, I don't think it's required. And I think that also affects the power as well in some respects. It is at the moment anyway. So what I'm going to do now, I'll bring you a bit closer in and I'll show you how I'll put it together, and then we'll take it from there. Okay then. Another valve that did come with was this one. I believe this probably started out with the Prophet 2, slightly different valve to the other, a bit flatter at the front, so that probably means that the original Mark 1 valve, you can see the differences, had a different internal on the block. So that is definitely shaped with a slant to it. This is more flatter. So that's the reason you need to get the right valve for the right block. So let's say, I'm going to line this up. That's dropped in. Next thing I'm going to do is, like I said, I've used PTFE tape. Don't need a lot, just enough to help seal it. Now all I'm going to do, just go around the threads, so that's the way. So that's all we need to do. So there's a little ball bearing in there that helps to hold this in place when it's through. I'll put it like that and shove it up. Let's go through that process again. There we go. This is the thing, that the tolerances on the rifle, you need to get it right. Not too much. There we go. So that's the right length for that, and that's how you measure your distances. Right, so next up, screw this back together, and like I say, even this don't go all the way to the end. Right, when you do it, you've got to make sure that the nipple's facing up, because the actual hinge rod goes on top of that. Shove that all the way forward, if it'll go forward. Now once it's on, you can turn it around so it's facing up, like that. Shove it all the way forward if you can. The same again, tolerances on this. Now looking at that, we're probably 3 or 4 millimeters short. So what I'm going to do to make it easier, I'm going to pull it back a bit and unwind it. On. Two. Shove it forward again. I think we're about right at that. So once you've got it more or less lined up and that's all the way down, you can then pull it back a bit. Get a little Allen key to bring it up. Rest it down like that and turn your rifle over. And at that point, basically line the holes up. And there's a little screw there. Screw that in. So that's flush, that's all the way in. Pull it forward, and when you look at the front, just here it's flush in. So now this side is done right. Now we can get the plate and put a plate on. And this side there are 2, 4, 6 screws, and on the other side there's 7. So that's the last one on this side. Then we turn it over and go then onto the trigger. So I've got a rod and a spring on one end. So this end, you screw it in and you pull on it to make sure that trigger comes to the top. Line this up with the actual trigger sear there, and then start screwing in a bit more while keeping tension on it to keep the trigger at the top. And you get the spring, push it up so it's inside, and then let it drop down. So that's it in. So what you can do now, make sure that stays up. And this is your trigger tension. Okay. So that's in place, and like I say, on this one, you've got 7 screws. You've got 2 at the front and 5 at the rear. So you can put this plate on. So that basically is the rifle back together. So from there, just make sure it's cocking, and it does. And you can decock like that. So that's okay. The actual rifle comes with a barrel grabber like that, basically. So you can screw that on. And basically, you've got your transfer port on the barrel there. On the opposite side, you've got a divot there where this big grub screw locks it in place when it's on. So basically, sliding your barrel through. And best thing to do, I think, is cock it, put your safety on. So it's in place there. The barrel will protrude slightly into the breech area, and the magazine's been designed to fit on top. So click that in place. Good thing with this, your right hand, you can push it to the right hand side. Your left hander can push it to the left hand side, which maybe all rifles should be like that. It's a lot better. So that's now in place. Get your grub screw on. Tighten it up. And from there, you just can screw the barrel grabber off. Put the bipod on. Take that off, give a bit more room. And that's on. Now the shroud can go on. Now what's happened to this is, because, I mean, the shroud goes on no problem because it's got a thread at the end to screw it on. But the problem with this rifle, another problem that causes really bad issues, is where the block is at the top. It's got 2 screws either side, and when this rail comes off, there's two screws on top. So there's 6 screws that are supposed to screw in and lock this in place. We don't need 6 screws to lock something in place that's already threaded on, surely. But if you forget about that, you can try pulling it out and you just end up gouging the blacking off it. So not the best of things, really. Let's see what it looks like with this one on it. Okay, so that is the rifle back together. So what I'm going to do now, it is cocked, I'm going to fill it up with air and we'll see how it goes. Okay then. So, no ear butching out. Okay. Okay then, initial test of the chronograph.
516, 510, 521, 506, 491, 509, 514, 510, 513, 510, 506. Last bullet. 496. Empty magazine.
So, as you can see, that's shooting up just over 8 foot-pound. I'm going to turn the hammer screw a quarter turn, and now I'm going to put some more pellets in. There's not that much leeway on the hammer spring, it's all down to the rag on these, by the sound of it, from what I've seen.
457.
Let's calm down now.
463.
Alright, I'm going to come out on that. I'm going to go back a quarter turn again, then another quarter turn.
474.
Back a quarter.
458. 457. 450. 448. 441. 437. 442. 437. Last bullet. 441.
Okay.
Empty magazine.
Okay then, so that's the initial look at the RTI Prophet 1. Now as you can see, they do have the problems, and I think a lot of it's coming down to the regulator not working on this particular one. But stop leak anyway. But I'll see how I can improve it, bring the power up to where it needs to be. Should be simple enough on a quality rifle. But that's it for now, and we'll look forward to seeing how I can get this shooting how it should. So I'll see you soon.
Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming. Never stop dreaming.